Hello, my friends. Let's get into another YouTube video. I'm going to go over the trades that I'm in right now, as well as what's happened this week, as well as just a recap and outlook of everything that I'm looking to take. So in my free Telegram channel, I actually shared this morning. I'm in a trade right now in USD CAD. I'm in a short. It's about $25,000 of profit at the time of making this video. The last update in here was $15,000 profit. And this is a Telegram channel where I've been sharing all my live trades for like the past 8 years for free. So you can join this Telegram channel. There's a link in the description of the pinned comment. But check it out. I'm in a short right now on USD Canadian dollar. And that is after I had a trade yesterday go against me, which ended up in a loss. So let me break things down nice and simple for you. All I do, for those of you who are new to my channel, I go to the daily chart. I find the next clear support and resistance zone below and above price. I set alerts at those respective zones, and sometimes there are none, so you don't have any. But in a lot of cases, you've got the next support zone below price, the next support zone above price, the next resistance zone above price. I set 2 alerts. Then I just sit here and chill, and I wait. I sit right here on my couch, and I stare at the chart, and I just wait for days and days and days, and sometimes weeks. And then when price does, in fact, get to a zone, if it's at support on the daily chart, I buy. And if it's at resistance on the daily chart, I sell. I put a stop loss below the zone if it's at support. And then I put a stop loss above the resistance zone if it's at resistance, and I sell. And then after that, I drag the profit target to a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, and I risk however much I feel like risking on the trade, which my risk threshold right now is anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 per trade. This trade I risked $100,000 on right now. So the first trade that I entered earlier this week was actually a little bit lower. It was this resistance zone right here where price was at. So what did I do? Price got into this zone. I entered a sell here. It was around this region here on the chart. My stop loss was way above this zone. It was actually a little bit further than this was right here. And then what happened is it went into profit first. And yesterday, this was looking so juicy. Yesterday, it was in $41,000 of profit. My account, which I started at $350,000, was almost to $1 million. If I just would have had, maybe 1 or 2 more trades worked out. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit more. But you can see the deposit right here from 7 months ago was $350,000. And I've grown it to $817,000 now, which is where it's currently at. And I guess with this little open trade, I guess $830,000. So I've grown it this whole time, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I've called every single trade live. Every bit of analysis, every detail, every piece has been documented step by step, time-stamped in real time. And so with this right here, we got price coming into this zone right here, so I thought it might be another good place to enter. But this first one didn't work out. It went into profit, spiked back above the zone when it started going up. I closed it early today, and I'll show you the exact trade because I call my exact entries here in my Discord server with all the specifics. I called right here. I put, let's see where I put it. Where did I put it? All right, friends, USD CAD. After moving nearly halfway to the profit target yesterday, she has come back like a delusional ex demanding alimony. Yes, I went there. I refuse to play this game with USD CAD. Therefore, I will be closing her here in loss. And this is what it looked like, right? I just entered a sell, stop loss further above. It was almost to the stop by the time I closed it. This is what it looked like. So I lost $40,000 on this right here instead of $50,000. So I closed it a little bit before the stop loss. There's the loss right there, $40K. And there was the total P&L from that right there. What's interesting here is even though I lost this USD CAD trade and the USD CAD sell before that for a tiny loss, 10K, and the GBP AUD trade before that at 40K loss, all this adds up to 40K, 50K, and 90K loss total. Guess what? The previous trade I had on GBP Canadian dollar was about $100,000 profit. So even though I've screwed up these last 3 trades and literally just lost all of them, I still haven't even completely wiped out the profit I made from my last one winning trade. That is why it's important to make a little bit more when you happen to be right versus what you lose when you happen to be wrong. I am sort of an idiot. I cannot predict which way the price is going to go on the chart. I'm not really right any more than half the time. But because on the half the time that I actually am right, I make a little bit more. And then on the other half the time where I happen to be wrong, I lose a little bit less on average. That's the only way, it's the only reason I'm profitable. But I'm not really that smart. I'm not really that intelligent. I just know how to make a little more than I lose long term. So I had closed that there because it broke the zone, and then I got back into a position and restructured the risk. So this is how I restructured it. I looked at this resistance zone here where price is currently at, and I had to go to the weekly for this. So let's just start from scratch here so you can see this. I'm going to delete everything from the chart. We're going to go to the 1 week time frame. Now, here on the weekly, we have price bouncing there. We have price bouncing as support right there. We have price bouncing as resistance here, support right here, and then resistance a couple times, which is where this daily zone was. When I draw the big, clear, nice, awesome, sexy zone here on the weekly time frame, you can see we're still sitting here in a resistance zone. And let me just drag this zone a little bit higher to encapsulate that high right there. And then let me just bring this little bottom up a little bit higher. So something like that. So right, it was resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, broke below, and then resistance, resistance, resistance. So I still think price is likely enough to fall through here. So what did I do? I just restructured the trade. And remember, it's important to notice that I closed the first trade initially, so that way I could restructure it with this one. I didn't add to the losing trade with a full another like risk structure. I closed the first position, I got out of that one, and then I re-entered, but now restructuring the risk, so that way I have a new stop loss, new profit target, new reference points, and things like that. Because I still think it's going to bounce here at some point. Maybe it won't. If it goes up, I'm going to try to get out of it at another small loss. Maybe I'll lose 20, 30K. Maybe it hits the stop loss and I lose 50K. But if it goes in a profit, I'm going to hold it. And you can bet your unprofitable ass I'm going to try to add to this as well if it starts going into profit. We'll see, though. We're going to have to see. It's about to be session change over here in 30 minutes. And then tomorrow's Friday. So we might not get a lot of movement the rest of this week, but we shall see. When you look at the cold and simple reality, all I did here was price was at a major resistance zone on the higher time frame. I entered to sell at that resistance zone. I put a stop above and a target below, and I risked a dollar amount I was comfortable with, which in this case was 50K, but keep in mind I risk anywhere from 50 to 100K per trade. Just depends on the trading opportunity, my experience, my price action discernment, my intuition, my discretion, my subjective judgment as a result of doing this shit every day for the past 10 years. You know, you'll start to kind of develop a feeling about what you think might be appropriate to do in the moment. So I use my discretion to be able to help give me my edge in trading, and that discretion presents all the edge in manual trading, since you cannot systematically do anything in a black and white way because trading is in fact so subjective. It is also risky and most people lose money. So you probably shouldn't be trading in the first place. Since like 95% or more people lose money trading, you should probably just literally go get a job at McDonald's. But if you're stupid enough like me to keep trading, like this is how I do it. I don't know what'll work for you. Maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. This is how I do it though. So I'm waiting for this to play out. It currently sits in about, halfway to the profit target, $25,000 of profit or so. So we will see where this goes as we end this trading week and go into next trading week. Okay, so that's the current trade I'm in right now, and that's a recap of the USD CAD trade that I lost as well. Lost the first one. We got a second try here. If I win this one, I'll make back basically what I lost in the last USD CAD entries, and we'll just call it a day and hopefully get some more profits on some winning trades. Now, the next one I'm looking at is probably going to be going into next week, and in fact, I don't know if this is going to be setting up anymore because we've already gone up here into the zone. This is a weekly time frame. Price has bounced very strongly here 1, 2, 3 times. And this time it barely came into the zone and started to bounce. You'll notice where my alert was. My alert was not down here at the lows of the zone and like below like the lowest portion of the zone. And it wasn't here at the beginning of the zone. It's about halfway into the zone. That's what I do. Whenever I structure the resistance zone or support zone, I set my alert about halfway into the zone. An example of me doing this right here in front of you would be, I'm going to draw a support zone like this. And that's kind of a big, thick support zone. And I mean thick with 2 C's. She's got a big bottom here, because it's the bottom. The support zone is the bottom where you think price will bounce. Huge bottom right here. I love support zones that have a huge bottom. But the problem is we don't have a really good risk structure here. Why? Because the zone's so freaking wide, it's very difficult to structure the risk, because where do you enter? Do you enter towards the top, towards the bottom, the middle? What do you do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this zone a little bit tighter down here to a point I'd actually enter, and it still encapsulates most of the price data, right? We do have a wick below the zone there, but every other time price has been in this region, we bounced the support, broke below, found aggressive resistance, broke above, found support, went up, came back below, rejected as resistance, and now we might be coming in here again. So what am I going to be looking to do? Well, one of 2 things. I'm going to buy at the support or sell at resistance. Now, where the hell do we enter? Should we set an alert here? Well, probably not, because price doesn't really break below the zone a lot whenever it bounces. Okay, so we shouldn't set an alert there. What about up here? Well, what's going to happen if we set an alert there? If we set an alert there and you're going to buy like literally above the zone before it even gets into the zone, you're going to have your stop loss below the zone and your target at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. That's kind of a far target, right? It has to go all the way back up to the next zone. That could take a week or 2. What happens if instead we go here and then we wait for price to get into the zone, right? So instead of entering right here, we then set the alert a little bit lower, about halfway into the zone. See, it's at the midway point of the zone. And then we move the entry to what would be right here. We keep the same stop loss, but now we just drag this to 1-to-1. And the 1-to-1 risk reward ratio target's only like 70 pips. 70 pips instead of like 94, 95 pips. That means price just needs a little bounce away from this zone for us to hit the profit target. And it gets even sexier. I'm like the salesman, the ShamWow salesman. But wait, there's more. If you enter here at the zone and your stop loss is even just a little bit closer to the zone, I don't recommend doing it like that because that's just way too tight, and it doesn't account for the fact that price had wicks below the zone. So we don't want to set it too close. But if you set it just a little bit closer than it starts out down here, something like that, and then the profit target a little bit closer like that, you do not have to be a hero to win this trade. If price comes into this zone and just has the slightest bit of a bounce, even if it goes against you a little bit and then bounces, all you need is that little bit of a bounce. It's like a 45, 50 pip bounce, and it's not hard to catch little moves like that. I don't like being the hero in trading. You know, you can be the hero in real life if somebody's beating up some innocent old lady and then you stop them and say, hey, asshole, that's a bad thing to do. And then they get arrested by the police. That's great to be a hero. Just make sure you don't do that in like Chicago or Detroit. But aside from that, you don't want to be a hero in trading. Why? Because if you're trying to catch the next 1,000 pip move, that's what I call being a hero. You're just trying to catch too big of a move in trading. What's going to happen a lot of the times is price will go into profit. It'll come back. It'll stop you out. Or if you go into profit and then it comes back to break even and you set the stop at break even, you get stopped at break even, or you set the stop in profit and you do this and that. Sometimes you will get a huge win, and that is so cool. Wow. Good job. That is really, really awesome. Congratulations for you. But most of the time it doesn't happen, so you have to sit through insanely long losing streaks and break-even periods, and it just chips away at capital. When you have profit targets that are just 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, you get them hit so much more often. And when you get them hit more often, what's going to happen is you're going to make a little more money than when you happen to be wrong because of the way it's managed. Now, how is it managed? You know, you're thinking this is all magic, Harry Potter, Hogwarts wizardry. It's not. Here's what happens. When price gets into the zone and you get the alert triggered and you enter a buy, we're going to have to go to the daily for this so I can break it up a little bit more. Price will start to either go up, or it will start to go down, or it will go sideways. Guess what? If it starts to go up, you know what you do? You close the trade early. I'm just playing. You don't. You hold the trade if it's in profit. Okay, so it goes up a little bit more, close to the profit target. At that point, that's good enough. You just get the hell out of the trade, close it. No, I'm just playing. You hold it even further. When it goes to the profit target and it actually hits your TP, that is the point that you then impulsively re-enter another trade to try to profit a further move. No, I'm just playing. You just hold the damn trade to the profit target, and then when it hits the profit target, you're out, and that's a winning trade. Cool. You make 1 unit of risk, whatever you risk per trade. 1% of your account, cool. Very intelligent of you. 5 to 10% of your account, a little more risky, but still reasonable given the risk tolerance and your certain capital constraints, and also whether or not you're going to have a period of extended losing streaks. But 5 to 10% risk is kind of what I do. I probably like 10 to 15% risk for me per trade because I'm risking $50,000 to $100,000 per trade. My account's at about $830,000 right now. You can risk 5 to 10%. If you're going to be risking 50% per trade, dumbass, then I don't know what to tell you, because if you lose like 1.5 to 2 trades, your account's blown. That's just not a very good way to go. Cool. So that's all you do. If it goes into profit, you hold it. Now, what if it starts to go against you? Here's what you do. Price comes into the zone. It sets up real nice and sexy. It's doing like sexy, handsome Squidward dance right there. You know that episode from SpongeBob where like Squidward and Squilliam were like really sexy and handsome? That's what this trade gets to do. It starts getting there and it's sexy and you enter a buy, but then it starts to go up and it comes back to the entry. Okay, not a reason to close the trade. It goes a little bit lower into the zone, and it could just be bouncing around these extreme lows. So you don't want to get out there. And then it has a little bit of a bounce. So you're like, all right, now it's going to go. So now it's at break even. You hold the trade. And then we refuse to get past the previous high. We come right back in. And then we start trying to bounce, but then we make a lower high. And then we start doing some shit like this. And then you're sitting in this trade for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then it's not looking like it's bouncing. In that case, it's okay to just close the trade right there. So, and what if, and this is like maybe like 1/5 of the way to the stop loss. So instead of me losing $50K, I might lose $10K on that. Instead of you losing $100, you might lose $20 on that. Now, what do you do if price starts breaking below the zone? Well, it kind of just depends on the context, right? And I don't mean that to try to skirt away from the fact that, okay, we're supposed to be keeping things simple. Shouldn't we just close it if it breaks the zone? No, not always, because if you were doing that, you should just set a stop loss right below the zone, but that's not always the best decision given the context. And again, you're only going to learn this with experience, and I'm going to show you how. Whenever price starts breaking below the zone, you kind of wait for a closure on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, and if we push right back up here, it's probably still fine to hold. If we close below the zone on the daily time frame, and certainly the weekly time frame, that's probably a good place to get out. And in that case, let's say you even close even lower than that. It goes down here, breaks below, close down there. Well, guess what? You can get out of the trade, and now you took maybe half of what the original stop loss was. So if you risked $100 on that trade, instead of losing $100, you only lose $50. You risk $1,000, you lose only $500 instead of $1,000. So you end up keeping your losses smaller on average. And oftentimes when price does break past the zone, it's not easily going to come back, isn't it? It has to come back up here, reclaim this zone, test a support, not break, then bounce, and then you got to wait for this to play out, and then it could go up, but then it might not even make it all the way up there before it then falls all the way back. It becomes a pain in the ass. So no, you don't want to be doing any of that shit. All you want to do is you want to structure the most clearest, nicest, clean, handsome, Squidward, sexy trades. And then once you get those zones drawn up nice and clearly, you just set alert about halfway in the middle of the zone. So for me down here, I'll probably move this alert just a little bit further. This just encapsulates where most of the price action is going. And it's not too low and it's not too high. It's just at like a good optimal position inside the zone. And then you put a stop below, target above at 1-to-1, and then you just keep doing this shit over and over and over. If it goes into profit, you hold it. Let it hit the profit target. Try to let it hit the profit target. In almost every case, you should be trying to hold to the profit target. That forces you to hold winners a little bit longer than you're holding your losers. If you hold a losing trade and it starts going sideways, try to get out at break even, small loss, halfway to the stop. And every now and then it's going to hit the stop loss, right? Sometimes you're going to go to sleep, or you're going to be at work. You're going to be holding your screaming infant, or you're going to be making love to your wife or husband, or maybe your wife and your husband at the same time. In the case with my situation, which is a little bit outside of the social norm here. But whenever my wife is laughing, she's like, what the fuck are you telling these people on YouTube? But whatever you're doing, you may be busy and it might actually go and hit the stop loss and not give you a chance to manage it. That's okay. It's not that big of a deal. You will be fine, Habibi. Salam alaikum. It's all good. Just chill. The stop loss functions as an emergency in most cases, though, and you don't really want it to get hit, but it's there just in case the worst case scenario, you have a flash crash or some crazy shit like that, which happens pretty regularly in Forex. You're taken out of the trade at your worst case scenario loss, which was 1 unit of risk, which is whatever you decided was appropriate to risk for that trade. $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000, $50,000, $100,000. Or you can risk like my wife does. More specifically, my wife's boyfriend. He risks $1 million per trade. Halfway to the stop for him is $500,000. He gets upset that he can't get his Bugatti serviced. That's just the kind of life that I have to live until I start making big boy money trading. Instead of only a couple $100,000 over the course of 7 months, I've made, I think, like what, $450,000. Instead of that, I really should be making like 4.5 million. That would be a lot better. That'd be a lot nicer. I'd be a lot more of a man. But instead, I have to sit here with support resistance zones and my low confidence and self-delusion to try to convince myself that this stuff is working. When it in fact is, I just need to scale up and make a little bit more money. So hopefully with time, I'll get there. Hopefully someday I can be a big boy. So with USD CHF, I'm either waiting on price to get here into this resistance zone to sell, or I'm waiting on price to get into this support zone to buy. It couldn't be more simple. I've just spent 10, 15 minutes explaining to you in way too many words to buy at damn support levels and sell at the damn resistance levels. I don't really know how to make it any simpler. So let's go to Euro GBP. It's another one I'm waiting for. I've got this zone marked up right here. I've had this zone marked up for weeks. We're just going to talk about this trade again for the 24th time in the past 2 weeks. If price comes down here into the support level, I will be buying. Stop below, target above the zone. Look at where my alert is at. You'll notice it's not in the middle of the zone. It's kind of closer towards the wicks. I'm going to pull my zone up just a little bit further. It looks like yesterday we came kind of into the zone, but I don't know, it kind of like didn't go as far as I wanted it to. I'm going to wait for it to get to at least that low right there, and then I'll buy. And I hope it happens. I don't know if it will, but if it does, that gives a really good risk structure because I can buy right there, put a stop loss below the zone, target above it, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, and then we are off to the races. So we'll see if Euro GBP sets up. Simple buy at support. GBP AUD. I lost a trade, I think last week on this. I sold at that resistance zone, went into profit, then it spiked above the zone and ended up closing it. So I took a loss on that. Is that loss visible in my P&L? Is it visible right here? GBP AUD. Yeah, this is it right here. GBP AUD. $41,000. And that one was, I don't know if I risked 50 or 100K from that, but you can see it was still a loss and it was managed. And relative to my average win, you can see the CHF JPY trade I had here. That was a $100,000 winner, break even on GJ, partial loss on AUD USD, full take profit win, $100,000 on GBP CAD, and then a partial loss on GBP AUD and partial losses on USD CAD. 2 separate trades. One of them, that was a small entry, and these other 2 were 1 entry for the original trade, risking 50K. So with that right there, I'm just looking to sell here at this next resistance zone on GBP AUD. Sure, am I a little bit salty? Of all the flavors in the cupboard that I could put on this trade, I chose to be salty about it, and I lost, and it's okay. I can just be a sore loser for the time being. But if it comes up to this next resistance zone, I'm going to be selling right there, stop above, target below. 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. GBP Canadian dollar is actually looking like sexy, handsome Squidward again, because while I did have a nice winning trade, this was my winning trade right here. I sold at this daily resistance zone. It went down and hit the profit target. I mean, it was so beautiful. That one little move there resulted in $100,000. Just this little move away from the zone. That is why I don't like being a hero with trades. That's why I don't like targeting. Like, you know, if you're going to be doing some shit like this where you're getting into the zone and you're like, oh yeah, the banks and the market makers, mate, they're coming down here. You know, they're coming in, the liquidity, the retail traders are coming in. There's all this bullshit that I hear online. We've got the SMC, smart money concept, order block, institutional trading strategy, mate. You know, we're trading like the banks, man. We're going to be making millions and millions, man. It's stupid. You know what I do? I buy at support, sell at resistance. And I document everything live, and I show it, and I put my money where my mouth is, and I made millions of dollars doing this over the course of the past decade in Forex and crypto and stocks. I don't use bullshit like this. I don't do like 1-to-6, 1-to-10, 1-to-69, 1-to-420 risk to reward ratios. I enter at the zone, I put my stop above the zone, and I set my profit target at a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And because I am not trying to be a hero, I get my trade profit targets hit pretty quick if it's a winning trade. And imagine if you do that over and over and over and over again. Eventually you get to the point where you're just making money hand over fist, and you don't know whether to get a purple Lamborghini Aventador SVJ or to get a blue Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. You can't decide. It's such a hard problem to have. Like, my life is pretty hard, guys. And so you just end up having to get them both. Like, you have to slavishly just order both of them and spec them both because you can't decide on blue versus purple. That's the problem you have to have if you're trading support resistance. So keep in mind, I'm just, for those of you that know that I'm joking, great. But for those of you that don't, I'm just fucking around. I'm just joking. Like, trading's risky. Most people lose money. Almost none of you are going to make millions of dollars trading Forex. But there will be a tiny fraction of a percentage of people, of those of you who are going to make a significant amount of money trading Forex. I'm speaking to you guys who are trying to actually do this and make this work in a serious way. That's why you can see here in this video, I'm so serious and I'm so focused. And that's why we're not joking around here, because I just don't joke around here in this YouTube videos. I would never spend your time that you're investing into watching one of my YouTube videos joking around. That's just not who I am. That's not the type of life that I want to live. So that's why I keep it very, very serious. So I'd like to get back to the video. So if you guys can just calm down a little bit, we can get back into the video. Let's go ahead and go for it. GBP Canadian dollar, what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for another banger trade, just like the one that I took from this past week. That was a nice little profit. I'm looking for price to come up here to this resistance zone, and you can see that aside from that little guy right there sticking out past the zone, flipping us off, it literally looks like a middle finger right there. We've got a resistance here, a bounce here, broke above but still came back, failed, broke back above here, tested and bounced, and then now we have potentially price coming back up into this zone. Since June of 2025, which is exactly 1 year of price data, because we're in June 11th of 2026, right? So basically for literally almost exactly 1 year, price has respected this resistance zone multiple times. So what is guaranteed to happen here at this zone if we get there? It is guaranteed to go down or up. Promise you. When you get to that zone, it's either going to bounce and go down or it's going to go up through the zone. I'm a genius. Please hold your applause. Like, I'm embarrassed, guys. No need to applause. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. Sure. What am I going to be looking to do? Something like this, right? I'm going to look to sell somewhere inside the zone. If it starts bouncing away, don't enter below the zone. If it starts breaking above the zone, if you want to risk it and have a tight stop loss and just say, oh shit, I would have entered down here with the stop above the zone and then a target below at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. If you want to risk it and you wake up late and price is like spiking deep into the zone, like up here, like borderline breaking it, yes, you can still enter there if you like, but just put the stop in your originally planned area and maybe risk half the dollar amount, because that's how much you'd be in drawdown anyway if you were already in the trade. And then you can set the profit target at 1-to-1. And if you do win, it'll be a nice little winner, and it'll probably be a lot quicker too. But what I'm going to probably do is be entering right there in the middle of the zone. That's the zone where prices bounced multiple times in this little region. And then I will set my stop above and my target below. And you'll notice how this stop is above that most recent high as well. So that way, in case price comes to this zone, starts to bounce, but then makes a run for that previous high, you don't get stopped out. And then in some cases, you can even plan to add there. But if you're going to do that, that's a more dynamic way of doing risk management. You're just going to have to risk a lower dollar amount in your first trade. So instead, if I'm going to do that, I'll probably risk 50K on this trade. and then I'll allocate the other 50K of risk if price comes up to that resistance zone and just enter there. Then the risk might go from 50K to 100K, or I might just risk a smaller amount. I might risk an extra 25K. Then the risk goes from 50K to 75K, and everything is still structured, and I've accepted the max risk threshold. That reflects my risk tolerance, and everything's all fine and dandy, and we're off to the races. What I'm kind of hoping for is price comes up to here, I enter a sell, and then it just bounces there at the zone. And if it bounces there at the zone, I will just be holding it to the profit target. 150 pip profit target. Not a problem for GBP CAD. Today's candle alone, from the low to the high where we're currently at, that's 115 pips. So if we're going for a 150 pip profit target, price makes moves like that all the time here on GBP Canadian dollar. This last move that I was in, from the high all the way to the lows of the candle, that was 134 pips, right? This last moves here, over the course of just a few days, we dropped 370 pips. This is not a trade where we're going to be risking it for the biscuit. It's just going to be a trade that, like, it's... My wife thinks it's funny when I say risk it for the biscuit. My dog also doesn't think it's very funny because when she hears me say biscuit, she looks at me and turns her head sideways and her ears go up really big and they start turning around. And I'm like, biscuit? And she's like, She turns her head. I don't really think it's funny because I'm very serious about these videos. So we're going to be risking it for the biscuit. It's just not something we're going to do because you know that I'm serious and I'm very focused on trading and being professional and being an adult here, running my YouTube channel and running my company and my career as a trader. So I'll be selling up there at the zone, stop above, target below, 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. I just spent 5 to 10 minutes, however long this was, telling you that I'm going to sell at resistance with a stop above and a target below at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio on GBP CAD. Leave it to Nick Sean to leave a bunch of word salad showing that he's going to buy and support and sell at resistance. Why? Because it's boring. This shit is so boring. The video would be like 30 seconds long if I just went through my analysis like, hey guys, I'm going to be selling on GBP CAD and I'm going to be buying on Euro GBP and I'm going to be doing this and here's the analysis. Okay, bye. 37-second video. You'd be like, wow, bro, you didn't even explain it, bro. And then those of you with me making this video, you're like, oh, God damn, it's a 30, 40, 50-minute long video. He could have just said that he would just sell at resistance. He didn't have to make it so complicated. I can't understand why Nick Sean has to overcomplicate it when he says it should be simple. And I'm like, shut the hell your mouth. What the hell you're doing, man? You're talking like shit to my YouTube channel, man. By the way, I'm half Indian, guys. My mom's from India. She's from a town called Shimla in the mountains. She's Punjabi. So I can do an Indian accent. And it's not R-A-C-I-S-T because I'm half Indian. And my dad's this random white guy who lives in the country, kind of a hillbilly. But I love him. Dad, if you're watching this video, I don't think you watch my videos, but I love you. And mother, if you're watching the video, I love you too. Namaste, ma. Love you very, very much. My wife's like, are you seriously uploading this video to YouTube? But okay, cool. So I'll be selling. Yes. Okay, sweet. 10 minutes. I'm going to sell GBP CAD at resistance. We're almost done. Hang with me here. Euro USD, I'll be looking to buy at this support level. I'm not going to give you a 10-minute rant about why I'm going to be buying at this support level. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to be buying at support. There it is. There's the zone where there's the alert. There's the exact price, 1.14328. And then the stop will be below and the target will be above. Follow my stuff in Telegram if you want to see all the specifics. AUD USD, I'll be looking to sell if she comes here into this resistance. The stop will be above this zone and above that most recent high over there. So stop will probably be like up here, probably in that region. 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And then if price gets here into support, I haven't yet decided if I'm going to commit to buying at this support, but I do have it marked up on my chart. I don't like the fact that we had some weird price action here with it breaking below and then kind of stuttering and going up. But aside from that, we have a clear resistance there. We have support twice. You can see it made a little double bottom there. And then support again before falling below, trying to test as resistance, but failing. We did not knock out the previous low. Instead, we made a higher low right here and then just went back above the zone. I think if we come in here to the zone, it would be at least worth a shot to get into a trade. I probably won't risk 100,000 on that. I'll probably risk half my normal risk, which is about 50K, and then have a wide stop. And if it goes against me, just manage it. So that way, if I lose, I might lose 20 to 30K instead of the full 50K risk. And that'll still be worth a shot. USD JPY, I was looking at this trade and I didn't think it was a good trade, and I turned out to be wrong. Yes, guys, Nick Shaw, for the first time in his decade of trading, for the first time ever, he has actually been wrong about a trading outcome. I'm just fucking with you. If USD CAD came up into this zone, I knew that it was either going to break or bounce, obviously. You know, that's genius level logic. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. The problem is I saw all of these like bullish wicks here going up. I was really convinced we were going to see a breakout from this zone. So I elected to not take USD JPY. And instead I took USD Canadian dollar because this looked to me to be a better trading opportunity. This just looked to be a better zone. It was respected here on the daily. It was respected on the weekly. I chose to take this one, and then we've set up now. We're in a lot of profit now. And as a matter of fact, let's go see where it's going. All right, we're starting to kind of bounce here at the previous highs and go up. So maybe we'll still go up and I'll lose this trade and I'll give back the $25,000 profit I'm in right now, and it'll go hit my stop and I'll just die. That's right. I'll just figuratively just die. But if it does go back down to profit and turns around after session changeover, which hits in 4 minutes, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Texas, USA. I'm a Texan, a Fort Worth Texan. If price continues down, though, it'll be a nice profit. We're about halfway there. The profit target's right there around that low. So if we get there, that'll be pretty good for this trade. I'll be waiting. I'll be sitting here waiting for 1.39143 for you guys so that we can all do a victory lap right there around all the idiots trading SMC, ICT, institutional, order block, Wagyu beef, bullish, Kobe stick, candlestick entry strategies. We will sit there just like the true dumbasses that we are and say, well, we just sold out resistance, bro, because that's what Nick Sean said. And then we made the profit, bro. And everyone else can go on their 10, 15, 20, 69 trade losing streaks. And while we just sit here and be like, yeah, I mean, we do 1-to-1s and we'll just get ridiculed by all the idiots. It's fine. It's cool. At least we'll be making money. So USD CAD, I hope it works out. I hope it goes to the downside. As far as the rest of these trades, I don't really see anything else. I don't really have anything marked up in the charts. GJ, CHF, JPY, AUD CAD. I mean, I've got a couple of these marked up here, but I will share these as we get closer to the zones in Telegram whenever they do set up. So make sure you're in the free Telegram channel. It is literally a resource where I so freely and so rationally just give away everything by just showing you the analysis and stuff. The only thing I charge for, I don't even sell courses and coaching anymore. Although I do get on some one-on-one sessions with clients every now and then. If they need help with something, I'll hop on with the client for like 15, 30 minutes if they're in Nick's trades. And I'll just be like, hey man, all right, look, I can't answer this question for you in DM. It'd be too long and too nuanced. I can't type it. I can't send an audio message. So I'll just send them a Zoom link. And if they're free, we'll just hop on for like 10, 15 minutes or whatever, and I'll help them. But I don't sell any. The only thing I sell right now is just a subscription group, or you pay me a monthly fee and you just get to follow all my trades live in real time. In here, it includes a one-on-one like onboarding session with my team where they can help you get the Discord set up. You can ask them any questions you have. You can just hang out and chat with them and chill with them. My team, I have 2 employees. One of them is Stefano Mediani, and he's from Italy. He's from Rome. And then another one is Jaraj Singh. He's Indian, yes, but he's very westernized. He doesn't really have an accent. He's cool. He's chill. And they'll both hop on a call with you. And sometimes I'll be on the call and sometimes I won't if I'm doing something else or with a client or getting to emails or yelling at you in YouTube videos like this. But it comes with an onboarding call with my team where they will sit there with you and they'll be like, hey man, what do you need? You know how to set up Discord and your alerts, and do you know how to follow the trades, and do you know how to structure the risk, and do you know how to make sure that you have notifications on, just shit like that. So they'll help you with that. And then about once a week, maybe once or twice a week, I just start a live Zoom session where I just do basically a Q&A where people can hop on and you can ask me anything you want. That's right. If you thought it was fun getting yelled at by Nick Sean in a YouTube video, you can personally pay Nick Sean to have him yell at you in person, virtually, on a Zoom call. And I do those like maybe once or twice a week. And then, of course, you just get to follow every single trade in real time. Everything time-stamped, the entire account growth being shown. You could even scroll back through here through all the past trades I've taken. If we go back here far enough, we can go to the abyss that awaits us of all the past trades, and it'll show you where the account was at, where it was growing. This was when was this? Let's find out when this was. May 15th, 2026. So, wow, this was not even a month ago. The account was right here, 350K, 407. Where's the terminal at? You can see where the terminal was at. So the account was around 600K right there. The account's now over 800K, and this was like maybe 3 weeks to a month ago. And you can just see everything, right? So you can see everything in here. It's just a place for you to learn in real time. I've become convinced after coaching thousands of clients over the course of the past 7.5 to 8 years that the best way to learn trading by far is not with a damn course. Courses have their role, and that's okay, but you can learn basically everything you need for free online. And I taught everything for free basically before my YouTube channel. You can follow my YouTube channel and Telegram. Honestly, that's going to be enough. You don't need to pay me anything. That's more than enough. But if you want to get a little bit more help, a little bit more hands-on, a little bit of like that warm, fuzzy feeling inside you from Nick Sean and the team helping you personally, then you can come into the Discord server. And with that, like I said, it's just a monthly subscription that you can cancel anytime. We don't charge thousands of dollars for it. We just charge a couple $100 a month. And then for that, you can come into the trade. It basically boils down to like less than $10 a day. And you get all that assistance, all that help. And you get the ability to see things play out in real time. Courses are okay, but they're just not the best way to learn, in my opinion. When you're learning something like Forex trading, which is a skill set which requires your discretionary decisions moment to moment, you can't put that in a course. You can't say, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. You cannot systemize it. Like, you just can't. It's not black and white. It's not, nothing's good or bad. There's no good or bad decision. There's only like what tends to be most optimal based on a trader's experience in the context of their trading approach. That's a fancy way of saying, like, you got to use your best judgment based on your experience to make good decisions in trading. And you learn that here in the Discord server. So if you want to check that out, just head to the free Telegram first and just scroll through that for a while to see if my trading approach is something that kind of makes sense to you. I also do polls in here where people can, like, it's basically like a little quiz where they can answer quiz questions in here and you can start learning. So I do like little questions like that. So right here we had 1,300 people answer that. We had all these other ones where I went through like a whole quiz for like, it was like over a dozen questions where people could get to answer and see, and it comes with the explanation as well. If you click the explanation button, it shows the explanations for what the correct answer is and why. It's just a way to help you learn. And if you like what you see in Telegram, I post the link to join the Discord server every now and then in there. Probably like maybe once or twice a week I'll post it here in Telegram, maybe more. Sometimes I'll post it 3 times a week. You got to watch out. You got to be careful. Sometimes I may roll up with you only 1 or 2 times a week. I'll remind you, hey, you should join the Discord. And if you don't, then sometimes I'll remind you a 3rd time, because the 3rd time's the charm, or so they say. So with that being said, that's all the trades I'm looking for. That's the current trade I'm in right now. The new open daily candle just started. It's 4 o'clock p.m. What is my screen time here? My screen time was down 37% last week for an average of 2 hours, 17 minutes a day. I barely spent any time on the charts. Probably less than an hour of that is actually looking at charts. The other hour of that is looking at politically charged videos on YouTube or some such nonsense that I shouldn't be wasting my time doing. But with that being said, that's everything I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video and if you did hit the like button, that is just great. I'm so happy that you liked the video enough that you were compelled to hit the like button on the video. That is just so cool. And if you did not like this video, then that is just okay too. You can trade smart money concepts and I will respect you. Deep down inside, I will respect you as a human being. Maybe not your trading approach, but I still love you as a human being. If you have a question, put it in the comments and either me or some other person who follows me will probably answer you to help you out. I want this to be a community where it's like very nice to you for you to be able to learn. And I want to make sure that I'm giving more than enough out for free, because the only thing I charge for is just calling my live trades and giving people a little bit of help. Like, that's all I charge for, right? And that's very cheap, and people can kind of do it as much as they need. So they don't have to commit to a whole year or multiple years of like membership. You can commit to literally month to month. That's the only option we offer. So simple, so easy, so perfecto. It's amazing. I'm going to go and get off this video now so that my wife doesn't think that I'm a deranged lunatic for yelling at the camera for an hour on YouTube. And too late. And I will see you guys in my Telegram channel, my free Telegram channel, link in the description in the pinned comment. And then I'll see some of you, if you decide to join the Discord, the link, you can find it, scroll through the Telegram channel. You can subscribe to the Discord group and you can come in and you can hang out while we all trade live. That being said, I'll see you guys later. I love you all, and cheers. Happy trading, friends.